the Negro National Anthem. I want to thank the band for allowing me to share that. It's very powerful message, especially as we enter into the month of February, which is dedicated to Black history. And today I'm going to have the opportunity to talk with Rodney Graham, who is a strong and powerful member of the student government here on campus. Rodney is from South Carolina and he's in his third year here at UCF, majoring in hospitality management. He currently serves as the Director of Student Affairs under what SGA has to offer to the student government here. He's a Chief Advisory Council member and is a Rosenpomp peer mentor. So we'll get a chance to talk with Rodney. And as he comes to us, I guess the first question I want to ask him is how he's doing, first of all, and maybe share with me what the music that I just played, the symbolism behind the anthem means to him.
Hello, Dr. Butler. I'm doing great. When that music started playing, it took me back to being raised in the African Methodist Episcopal Church. That music is something that we play often as the pastor walks in. Hearing the organ starting to play, that's definitely what that takes me back to.
Okay.
That music.
Nice. So tell the people a little bit about who you are, Rodney, and how you came to be here at UCF.
So I'm from South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina. I am a descendant of Gullah Geechees. If anybody knows what a Gullah Geechee is, I can explain that right here. So it's ranged from Jacksonville, North Carolina to Jacksonville, Florida. So that's where the Gullah Geechees preside. We have our own language, culture, cuisine. The cuisine that you mostly represent as the African cuisine, African American cuisine in the United States is where it was born in the Gullah Geechee Nation. We created our own language because we had to have, well, it started with penguin languages, and we had to create something that slave masters couldn't understand and we could be able to communicate. And also there were so many different backgrounds that traveled from Africa that we had to also be able to communicate with those. So we created one language that we would be able to understand and listen to on the plantation. So that's where I came from. How did I get to UCF? Definitely wanted to take advantage of the #1 hospitality program in the country. So definitely doing that. I got my starts in hospitality. I guess my inspiration was my great grandmother. She was a cook. She traveled around the world, cooked for Spoleto Festival in Italy. She was a private chef for different celebrities. So definitely that's where I got my passion for hospitality.
Okay. And so how do you fare in the kitchen?
I think I can whip up some food pretty good. Passing on, just watching my grandmother, my mother cook. Definitely, I feel like that's something I love to do. Is passion of mine. Food. I think that's the beginning of a friendship. I remember
Okay.
my first time at Rosen. I cooked a gumbo and I was like, everybody come over and let's eat some gumbo. Many of them didn't know what it was, so I got to teach them my culture as well as make some friends.
Well, we have a little show we put on here in ODI, Diversity Through Cuisine, I think is the title of it. And I just got it in the chat from someone that they want to cook with you now. And so what's your specialty? What's your go-to meal?
Oh, my favorite meal is collard greens. Collard greens is my favorite meal. They make fun of me because on my plate on Thanksgiving and Christmas is majority collard greens. That's what I love. Seafood, love seafood from the Low Country, Charleston. Go fishing, crabbing, just doing that. Bringing it back home, cooking it is what I love to do.
Ha. So tell me, turkey or pork? How do you season your greens?
Oh, I use pigtails, neck bones. Um, that's the majority. Create that stock, and then add in the collard greens and use your salt, and if you want to put a little bit of garlic or whatever. But mostly it was just cooked with salt because we didn't have access to garlic and stuff like that.
Okay.
Well, natural garlic, but the powder season. You know what I'm talking like.
Yeah, I
Just
do.
it's
I do.
basic. It started off something basic, but
Yeah.
now some people add in some different stuff. But
Yeah.
I love sticking with the basics: pigtails, neck bones, and creating that
So
stock.
pork.
Yep, pork.
Okay. Well, that's okay. That's okay. All right. That's be all right. So you made this decision to leave South Carolina and come to Florida. You've been here now, what, 3 years? Going on 3 years? Going on 4 years? Which one is that?
I started in the summer of 2018, so going on 3.5 years.
Uh-huh.
I'm in South Carolina right now, but three
Yeah.
and a half years I started at UCF.
Yeah.
It's been a great journey. Definitely, I feel like my involvement in student government, being able to make the mark that I wanted to leave here at UCF, and I'm ready to enter the career field. So.
Yeah. So before the pandemic, was it difficult to leave South Carolina and come to a new state and start a new way of working towards your
Uh,
future?
Definitely, sometimes it could be harder than others, missing some holidays or something. But I was ready. I was ready to see something different, diverse backgrounds, learn about other cultures. I was ready to dive full head and learn about others and um, just UCF, a lot of different cultures, religions, just get into it and learn about those different people. So that's something that I feel like I didn't get much in South Carolina. So I was ready to get
Yeah.
to Orlando.
So you talked about having, the influence of the African Methodist Church. You talked about your pastor walking into that music. The music that we heard today was arranged by Kenneth Abeling. He's associated with the University of Central Florida, and Tremont Kaiser is the person who was doing the orchestration of the band just now. You talked about the organ and other things. Are there pieces of the puzzle that minister to you when you listen to music? Do you play an instrument yourself? And or what's your musicality, I should say?
Um, I do not play an instrument. I probably played the violin in elementary school, like 1 year. That's all. That's all the experience that I can come up with. But when it comes to me, like in the church, it's basically back then you didn't really have all those instruments. So in this region, it's just like a clap that you recognize. It goes like this. And that's
So
like
that
something
reminds me. My parents took me to South Carolina and North Carolina back in the day, and there's primitive rock is what they would call the church experience. Is that what you're talking about?
I would call it let's see what's the best word. I wouldn't call it that. I would call it it's rooted, it's African rooted. It has all of that inside of it. You hear the clap, you hear the
It's a foot
stomp.
in the foot stomp on the
Yes, the
wood.
rhythm.
Yeah, the
Exactly.
rhythm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the church that we went to, or the background that was my first experience going to that, right? Because I came from a place where there was musical instruments. There was an organ, and then actually they got really bold and they went to having like a bass guitar and all that other stuff in the church. And
Hmm.
I grew up, people were like, wait a minute, we don't do that. That's secular. You can't come and bring that stuff into our church environment. But that actually changed a bit when people got used to it, right? And so
Hmm.
it had been that primitive rock type thing where, like you just said, it's like the clapping and the
Hmm.
stomping and it's rhythmic, and then people start to feel the spirit through
Exactly.
being able to participate in that manner. So yeah, I understand that. So that's the kind of your background, huh? And coming in from the church experience.
Exactly. Yes, yes, sir. Raised in the church, Bible study, and then right after that, and then staying a long time after that. So that's definitely Sundays is definitely in the church. also like something from the African Methodist Episcopal Church is that it was created by Richard Allen, and why he created it was he was a part of the Methodist Church, and they denied him to pray at the altar. So he was like, I'm not dealing with that. I'm going to create my own African Methodist Episcopal Church, and that's what he did. And it was created on the background of being politically involved, making
Okay.
sure that people aren't treated bad. So that's definitely what we continue to strive in that in the AME Church.
Okay. So see, there's a history lesson in that even, right? So that's excellent. That's excellent. So when you came to UCF, did you find a church home, or are you still kind of keeping in touch with your roots back in South Carolina?
That was the first thing I started doing, was going to different churches. There's not many African Methodist Episcopal church, but I did find one. Um, I tend to like stick with back home. There's nothing like back home. I try to stay here and make sure that I try, but it's not the same experience if you get me. It's not the same.
Right, right, right. You're used to
I'm
what you're
used to
used to.
something. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but
So
I did search.
yeah. So at UCF, you ventured out to become a student leader. Before you were in the role you're in right now, you had a different role. I met you under your first role in student government. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so last year I served as the diversity inclusion coordinator under the Graham Mills administration. That was definitely a great experience, having conversations with different people, different backgrounds, bringing to light different problems that I saw in the university, um, on the side of what I wanted to do and getting those things done. So it was definitely a great experience to have. One of the most memorable thing was bringing what I had from South Carolina to here into my position, and hosted a gospel showcase. I know one of the biggest things was when I was partnering with the cultural gospel choir here at UCF. They were like, student government's doing a gospel showcase, like what is that, something new? So definitely bringing those things back, and then this year hopefully we'll have Queen Quet from the Gullah Geechee Nation here speaking upon sustainability and how that affects minority communities and Black communities, specifically.
You know what? I think the beauty in what you're talking about is that you get to bring in who Rodney is to the picture, and you are part of the equation and at the table, showcasing for others the beauty of diversity
Mhm.
in regards to that. And so, so thank you. I applaud you for stepping up and doing that, because it could be very difficult. How do you see yourself positioned in student government, especially as a person of color? Have you been Has your entry been well received, and how do you navigate those circles as a Black man?
I think at first I started in the Student Government Leadership Council. That was a great experience to get involved. But like as an African American, you're like, do I belong here? Can I go into the office? But as I got positions and you start to get more comfortable, and dive into the work. But definitely it's the first thing is, am I just being hired because I'm a Black male? Am I just getting this position because of that? And you have to work to prove that that's not why. You actually have the credentials and you actually can do the work. So that's
Excellent.
definitely something you have to navigate.
Yeah, excellent. And so when you brought up the idea of having this gospel extravaganza, this showcase, what kind of response did you get?
I didn't get any kickback, so everything was good with that. Everybody loved the idea of bringing that together. I also used the expertise of my diversity council that I had that year, and one of the council members helped me coordinate that because she was also part of the choir. So it was an easy way to get in contact with different people and
Mhm.
plan that event.
Do you have a favorite gospel song, your go-to song, other than the Negro National Anthem?
Let's see. I can. it's not my favorite song, but I feel like it'll have more impact on people listening right now and educational experience. I think everybody should know the song Kumbaya. Um, the real saying is Kumbaya. And it was originated in Gullah Geechee culture. So that's what it says. It says Kumbaya, and that in English would translate to come by here. So it would be come by here, my Lord, come by here. So that's one that we listen to and play frequently
Yeah.
in the church,
Excellent.
especially
Excellent.
during
Excellent.
Black History Month.
Wow. See, that's pretty interesting because I mean, I would think that maybe you would have kind of contemporized it a little bit and say, I'm a Kirk Franklin friend, and
I
um,
love Kirk Franklin. I do definitely.
no, that's all good. But that shows the diversity of thought in music as well. Are there other genres of music that you enjoy?
I try to listen to almost every type of music. I feel like it's not about, like I said, it's about the rhythm. It's about feeling it. It's when I listen to music, it has to be something that I feel. It doesn't matter what genre it is. Has to have a meaning, and then also have a feeling and rhythm and all that
Okay.
into it.
Excellent. Excellent. And so when I guess I'll ask this question. I don't know. So a lot of times people who are really regimented in the church don't necessarily dance or do anything along those lines. Is there a particular type of I guess musical dance that you like? I mean, I'm saying this and I'm thinking like how people do I'm going to say it wrong and don't hate me on this, but is it pop lock? There's the break dancing. There's then there's just the hip hop and all the other ways of dancing and music and to music. Are there any of those that draw your attention?
I cannot dance, so I don't even try. So no, I do not dance. So I guess that's the best answer I
So
could
you know
give
your
you.
strengths, right? You say, you know what,
Exactly.
I don't do that. So you probably don't even do the electric slide then, huh?
No, I could do it, but I feel more comfortable. I'll watch. I'll stand by.
Stand by and watch.
Yeah.
That's really good. That's rich. Um, so, um, so what does Black History Month mean to you in regards to maybe even your role that you serve in right now as a student affairs director? Um, what does the meaning of Black History Month mean to you?
For me, it means making sure, uh, personally, celebrating the ancestors and what they did before us, and recognizing the collaborations that they did and things that they brought forward, and then also the trials and tribulations that they went through, and highlighting those, and definitely on an educational level, making sure that we highlight the true history of America and what was done in the past. So making sure that those things are highlighted, and then on a university level at UCF, it's definitely making sure that there's not just one type of Black person. There's a Caribbean person, a person from African descent. So definitely highlighting the different backgrounds that comes with being Black.
Yeah, yeah. So, what in the things that you've accomplished so far at UCF are you the most proud of?
Let's see what I am most proud of. I feel like it's not what I've done, is what I've got from the students, from what I've done. So here, getting their responses back, letters, different things on how I impacted them, and also looking at that and seeing how much this information that they gave to me impacted me, and how I move every day in my
Okay,
life.
nice, nice. You indicated that you watched the podcast from this past Wednesday when I spoke with Dr. Schillenford about raising a Black son. Can you talk a little bit about your experiences as a Black man? And I'm not sure how old you are, but how does your age factor into just how you've been able to navigate life so far?
Um, so I'm 20 years old. Been here 20 years, so not much that experience in life, but from the experience that I did have, growing up in a school where a traditional American school, they don't know a language that we speak, so they would put you in speech therapy or something, saying that you don't know how to speak English, but really you're just truly speaking what you know.
It's really good.
I feel like bringing that to light, that Black people can speak. We can speak how we want to. You don't have to compromise. Um, you don't have to modernize with American English. That's just the one that they chose. That's the one that they chose to be the language of the United States. But there's many different languages of the United States, not only in the Black community, but Hispanic communities as well. So.
Hmm. Okay. And so, as you go through your day to day, and you're moving around, dealing with, I guess, the stuff that has happened, Black Lives Matter, police brutality, all those things that affect Black men differently. What's your take on all that, and how has any of this affected you moving forward?
Definitely. I'm ready for change to come. So we've elected a president. We elected a president and vice president. But I will challenge them to make sure that change is coming. That we get those policies in place. I won't measure you on what you did and you got elected, but I will measure you on what you did in office. So that's definitely keeping them to the fire and making sure that they commit on those policies that they've campaigned on.
Right.
In regards to, I guess, Black Lives Matter, definitely making sure that we have a police system that is a community, that making sure that they're not just policing, but they're policing with a community, and making sure that a police officer Roger knows my mom. Make sure that when something does happen, they can go, they know the contact. Just don't sit in a cop car in the neighborhood. Get out the cop car and knock on the door and interact with the community. That's the type of policing that we do need in this country. Um, I guess in regards to that as well, I'm from South Carolina, Charleston. In 2015, my church was attacked by a terrorist because of our race, so and culture. So definitely bringing to light that and making sure that we emphasize and work so that we something like that doesn't happen again. And we saw it happen already again, and making sure that the media doesn't stop sharing the light on that.
Yeah. So how did that affect you, this attack on your church?
Uh, it definitely had a great impact on me, but it also gave me a drive to continue to get something better, to make sure that their life wasn't taken in vain, and making sure that what they were doing continues on, because my pastor then was a state representative, and he was also the youngest state representative in the state of South Carolina.
Mm.
Um, when he served, and then he served as a senator. So making sure that I continue his legacy and the things that he taught me from his sermons and everything like that in my future.
Wow, when you said that, you have to kind of breathe a I don't know what you breathed. Is it a sigh of relief or whatever? But I immediately went to 6 degrees of separation when you said that just now, because everybody knows about that situation and the people who were murdered brutally in that environment. And now that you bring that up, you could have very easily have been sitting in that church during that time when someone had a reckless disregard of who the people were in there in that space. And so, wow, I thank you for sharing that. But you also bring a sense of reality to the fact
Mhm.
that yes, um, these things affect people, and it may affect people who you know and who you have involvement with. Um, how's that healing process been? It's been a
Definitely.
couple of years now, but I mean, what's that been like for you in your church home?
Yeah, so it's been 5 years now. Definitely continuing to the healing process is it's never stopping, but you just continue to heal. You continue to know that the work that they didn't go in vain. They were very very great people. They made a great impact on their community. One of the uh, uh, she was a co-pastor of our church. She was also a track coach, and I would see her at track meets. She was like, "Let's take a picture," but you never get the opportunity. So definitely take life as it is. Making
Mm,
sure you learn how to take life as it is, and make it. I'm sorry. You can't take life for granted, and every second is not given to you. You definitely live life to the fullest. So
yeah.
I think that's part of the healing process as
Right,
well.
right,
And
right,
just definitely speaking up about it and giving your experiences, because you don't know how much that could help somebody else.
right, right, right. So I'm sorry for your loss, man, and the loss of the things that you come to know, because I think, the thing that comes up for me is what it's like to go back into that church environment, to go into that building after those types of things have occurred. Um, and I wonder what may have been going on in you that first time that you walked back into that building after hearing about the tragedy.
It took a while actually. I didn't go right back in back. Well, I didn't go right back into the basement back then, but I went in the church for service actually.
Mhm.
But going into the basement and sitting in the basement is something that definitely comes back. But now I guess you come to church. It's just like going to church any other day. But you definitely it if you sit there, if you think it comes up, but like if you're just going with life and going with the motion, it doesn't really
Mm,
definitely doesn't really affect me as much, because I go to church, just get the sermon.
right.
But if you sit there and you just stare and just
So yeah,
think
so
about
it's
it.
that what you're talking about is perseverance and resilience,
Exactly.
and not allowing someone to dictate what happens in your space. Of course, you'll be concerned, and can this happen again, maybe, or things along those lines. But it does showcase that Black people have a resiliency about them that is bar none one of the greatest things to have when you come and live with marginalization and oppression and all those other things that occur that come up. Um, so, what's your message from all that? Having you're directly connected. You knew people. What's your message? What did you learn from this experience, and what do you want others to have learned from that experience?
I definitely feel like that racism isn't gone in America. That even though there was a march with unity during that time, there's definitely still problems in the city of Charleston that continues to happen and across America. So definitely don't make that full frame of that there was some type of unity and everything is gone after that. Um, but it's still alive and well. So definitely using that as your feed and power to make sure that change does happen. So I
Yeah.
think that's what I use that experience as, and it definitely has had my passion to continue serving people and helping others, which is another reason why went into the hospitality management major, because I love to make sure that people are being treated right, making sure that their service is key. So
Right.
serving them, yeah.
Excellent. So I'm going to live vicariously through you for a minute because I'm going to assume that you may have gone to the services that were going on at that particular point in time. One of the people that was at that service was President Barack Obama. Did you have the opportunity to meet President Barack Obama?
Did not meet him, but I was in the same room with him. Uh, when he started singing "Amazing Grace," yes, that was a surprising, but everybody just started singing at once.
Yeah.
So definitely that was a great experience. I did meet President now, but Vice President Joe Biden at the time.
Okay.
He was there at our service, but at the same time, he was also going through the loss of his son.
Right.
at that time. So we
Exactly.
definitely got a healing experience from coming to sermon too.
Wow, wow. So I'm just going to live vicariously through you right now, to have been in that space. I went to a rally. That's about to the extent of it. I think it was here at the UCF Arena, when President Obama came and was speaking, a couple of years back. So, so that's a lot. That's a lot for a young person to have gone through at the age of 20, to have experienced all that. How is your family? How did everybody else respond to that, and how are you all taking care of yourself?
I definitely think everybody has a different response. Um, for some people, it was okay. Let's see, because the next thing is like in the church, you have to fill those spaces. The next people have to come up. We have to find a new pastor. So that was a long process of
Hmm.
finding a new pastor. It took about 3 years in order for us to find our permanent pastor that we have now. So,
Yeah.
going through that time. Just making sure that I'm sorry, I lost your question. I don't know if I
Just how your
answered it.
family is doing. I mean, how's everybody? How's the survival of folks having had that happen to you? Because I can imagine that, somebody new comes into the church, you're looking around and say, okay, who are you and why are you here? I mean, I can imagine that all those things have gone on, and so I just wonder, part of that resiliency. How did you see that play out in, I guess, your family members and your church members, with regards to that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like I was saying, yeah, everybody took up a role um in the church, bringing in new people, making sure that we have that stable. But my family, they've been doing well. Like you said, resilience. We just have to keep going because there's so many other problems in the world that if we just focus on this one,
Yeah,
that we experience, we will get stuck in time. So
yeah,
we just definitely have to continue forward and use our platform to speak for others.
yeah. So I'm going to ask you a question in regards to this number. Tell me what this number means to you when you hear it. 8 minutes and 46 seconds.
Definitely, the first thing that comes to mind is George Floyd and that experience. So making sure that um, we we treat other people how we would want to be treated. Like I see a lot of things on Instagram about how Capitol rioters were treated or Capitol terrorists were treated versus Black Lives Matter movement and
Mhm.
other people like other citizens of this country. So definitely making sure that we have a equal justice system, um, a system where we don't judge others before uh, the crime has been said and so definitely making sure that everybody's treated the same
Mhm.
during when they have interactions with the cop or police. So definitely when the police passes by, when you hear that siren, for me it's like, oh, are they stopping me? Like your heart starts to beat hard, but like when they
Yeah, it's
pass, you're
hard
like,
to tell. It's hard to tell what that is. It's hard to
whew.
let people understand what that feeling is like, at any given time. I feel you. I understand that. I feel that every time. Even if you're just driving down the street and you see a police car just driving behind you and doing their
Mhm.
normal day, right? You just like, you clench up,
Yep.
and,
You're like, what did I do? Something, yeah, your
yeah,
heart starts to pound. You're like, oh my gosh. So
wow.
definitely, definitely getting, making sure that Black people don't have to feel that in this country anymore. And
It's a lot of
um,
healing to get away from that one, though,
definitely,
because
definitely.
it's really interesting because you may have not have ever been pulled over by a police officer, but you still, as a black man, feel that.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. Definitely. I still feel it. It's just something that isn't. It's just you just have to watch out, but it's not nothing that you stop your life with. You still
Mm.
continue on. You say, uh,
The resilience.
yeah, exactly. I remember like your last speaker was saying that she was like being protective of her son and making sure that he doesn't go out there and something doesn't happen to him. But I feel like it's like just you get out there, you live life to the fullest, and if you don't do that, you're letting the oppression oppress you
Yeah,
too much. you're
yeah, it's just
you're
winning.
not living your life how it
Right.
should be.
Yeah. So, and defying the odds, right? Defying the obstacles that people put in front of you, you step out on that and you say, you know what? I can either sit back and be harmed by this and allow it to dictate and control my life, or I can take it by the reins and move forward.
Exactly.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Um, yeah. So when I think about that 8 minutes and 46 seconds and living in this pandemic and living through this pandemic, I should say, all those things kind of put weight on the shoulders of folks. And, and so I can imagine even for you that, there's a weight on your shoulders because of what's going on. What's your take on what's been happening with COVID, especially in the Black community, but in terms of your life, how have you been impacted by this COVID situation?
So definitely COVID has brought to light so many problems that have been placed in the Black communities, and also has been showing in disguise of what really things could be fixed easily. So um, going back to COVID and how that marginally affects Black communities, and that also goes back to history where for instance, my grandmother, they were raised in a city, and next to them was the dumpster. Everything that they dumped in the city, that's where they lived right in that area. But they also owned like land in the country. But my great grandmother, she decided to move in the city, and that's what she wanted to do. But
Right,
Black people were put in those specific places on purpose, and that's where different diseases like asthma and all that, that's why we've been dealing with the Black community so hardly, because we have already been exposed to these
right,
diseases in our organs. And so we definitely have, for instance, I have asthma, so I couldn't come back to campus. I wish I could, but we have to move forward and make sure that those issues are bringing to light the oppressions that we've been put in these communities with dumpsters and all that. For example, the Paramore community in Orlando.
yeah,
Um, and on the other side of things with COVID and COVID relief fund and all that, the government has money to fix the problems in this country, and I'm ready for them to do that.
yeah. So you bring up something, especially in the health disparities and the things that happen in the Black and Brown community. You said something is that they made, and it struck me because you said they made people live in these certain conditions, under these certain conditions. Tease that out a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, like I was saying, it was like a trial. They pushed them like redlining, for example, not letting them into the communities um where they could be prosperous. But they were pushed into communities where they dumped trash, and they dumped it there on purpose, where smokestacks were, where pollution and all that was in the air, and that definitely impacted the Black community very, very hardly. And so that gave us certain diseases that these diseases pass on for generations and generations.
Right,
So it definitely had an impact on our community for long lasting, even though we're out of those. Some of us aren't out of those situations right now, but I've been lucky
right.
enough to not have to live in that. But it continues to happen.
You know, um, you know, for that to come out of the mouth of a 20-year-old, recognizing just how the infrastructure, the actual way that systemic racism has affected a community of people, um, is fascinating. It's mind-boggling. It's, you know, we know this information. It's a shame that you at 20 years old would have to know that, would have to still experience that, because you would think that if you knew this, others had to know this as well and didn't do better.
Exactly. Um, yeah, they just put it in the blind side. It works the system. that's the system of everything. So um definitely that's how they work the system. They don't want that kind of issues to come to light. They don't want to say that Black people are unhealthy, our food is unhealthy, but really it's the American food that we eat is unhealthy. The McDonald's, the KFC is not the food that we cook at home that's unhealthy. So definitely not putting the light on us that we're unhealthy, but putting the light on the country that the things that they put us in
Yeah.
makes our conditions unhealthy.
So I'm going to ask you to be a little selfish right now and tell the world who Rodney is and why they should love you and put you up in high esteem in what you bring to the table. Tell me a little bit about Rodney.
For myself, I just, like I said, helping others is something that I love to do. I feel like that's something that it takes you a long way, just being courteous, making sure that you're listening. A lot of it's about listening, taking everything in, and then that's where like you get your knowledge. You listen to everybody, your elders, other people that have experience that you don't have. You listen, and then that's what I live by, just listening to others, helping them where I can. If not, if I can't help them, making sure that I give them a resource to help them.
Mhm.
That's what I live by. That's me. And that's why I've chosen the career path that I've had.
Yeah. So when you think about the UCF Creed, what's your thoughts there and where do you fit in with the Creed?
I think the most important one is integrity, making sure that you are you no matter what, where, who you're around. So I think that is the most important one that comes to mind is integrity, because that will take you a long way.
Yeah. And after you graduate, uh, what's the world going to look like for Rodney?
Um, every day it changes, but right now, definitely, hopefully living somewhere else for a year and then definitely coming back home in South Carolina to um, serve in public office. So that is where I want to take it in my experiences within the hospitality industry and making sure that we study people and we know how to treat people. I feel like that's the you can learn policy, but you can't learn how to treat people. So
Well,
um, that's something that I want to do coming back here and
okay.
serve serve the people.
So you want to go into some leadership positions within your environment there. You have an idea where you want to go? Is it a mayorship? Is it a commissioner? What is it that you know? What's your first vision, and where's your end vision? When will you know you have arrived, so to speak?
I definitely want to get involved in my local community. Definitely. How would I measure my end goal? I think I will never have a true end goal. There will always be something that I want to do. My end goal is when I leave this earth. That is what when my end goal will be. That's when everything will be over. Out from there, I will continue to move on and strive for the best.
So, who are you mentoring?
For the pump, are you talking about the pump
Just
peer
in
mentor?
general, I mean, I listen to you and I hear where you're going and how you must have mentors, of course, in your life. But I guess the question,
Oh, you asked who was my mentor.
no, no, no. Who are you
Oh,
mentoring? I mean,
oh, okay.
who are the people who are learning from what you bring to the table?
Definitely my cousins. I definitely try to teach them, my younger cousins, um how to be successful, how to make sure that you're on the right path. So I try to teach them. And then also within student government we get a mentor. So I have that. And then yeah, and then through Pump we have a mentor. I haven't got that one yet because it changes every semester. So
Okay.
definitely my true passion of mentoring is my family and my younger cousins.
Okay.
Um,
Excellent. So you and yourself mentor as others, and do you have some role models and people that have mentored you?
Definitely. The first thing what I would have to say is my great grandmother. She had a great impact on my life. The time that I did spend with her, and then also my grandmother, my mother. Definitely, family is the mentor here. And then also at UCF, I had a great mentor, Ashley Sampson, through the Student Government Leadership Council. So she's been able to help me navigate this environment. Also, just checking in on me, and I'm checking in on her, seeing how she's doing, where she's getting done in this world. So definitely have a lot of mentors in my life.
Okay. And so I guess I know the answer to this, but your hope for the future?
My hope is that we as Black people don't have to deal with the problems that we have now. Um, it's a big hope, but hopefully one day we have somebody that's going to fight for us truly, and advocate for the true things that we really need in our community.
Okay. So you just mentioned the Rosen Pump. What is that?
So it's a peer mentor organization on the Rosen campus. My first time being involved with it was last semester, so pretty new to it. But weekly we meet, we talk about different things, leadership experiences within hospitality industry, and also it's just gaining more information about how to strive and how to be successful. So you get a network of people to talk to that will be beneficial in your career field. So, and then you also get a mentor and a mentee as well. So, and the leader of that program is Vanessa Blackman, and she's at the Rosen campus.
Okay, excellent. So I'm noticing this, what I would say is maybe a sash or a tie or whatever that's around your neck, and I'm wondering the significance of it.
Definitely. Kente cloth.
Kente
The first experience that I had with it was um, before church, and like in February, we tend to stick to African attire when we go to church. And the first thing I remember was I was in the car one day. We went to go pick up my uncle before we go to church, and he's like, "Where's your kente?" He went upstairs, he got something, he put it on me, and then we went to church. So that was like the first experience that I had with it. But also, it definitely has attachment to your African roots. It gives you something to, it reminds you of where you come from. So
Okay. And so is that something that you wear on the regular or just at certain times when you're feeling the spirit?
definitely back home it would be during like special occasions. So like on New Year's Eve, in church, um, Black History Month. Definitely that's the time. Special occasions and when we wear it. Don't wear it all the time, but try to as much as you can.
Yeah, it has some type of symbolism for you.
Hmm.
And so it has a dedicated space and time in which you use it. Well, excellent. I truly enjoyed having the time to meet with you. Is there a question that I didn't ask you that you feel inspired to answer?
Let's see. I think you did a great job. The conversation went so fast. I feel like an hour has not passed yet. But just lastly, just making sure that um the Black community at UCF continues to fight for what they need. Email me if you have anything, if you're listening right now, at sgastafairs at ucf.edu. I definitely take those needs and get you in contact with the right people and see how we can help you get those initiatives done. Because I can't bring to light everything, but you can bring to light some things that I haven't worked on. So definitely reach out.
Definitely. Rodney, I'm really proud of what you have been accomplished in your 20 years. I I'm saddened by the fact that you've had experiences in your life that there's something to be said about making lemonade out of lemons and things along those lines. And I see the positive spark in you about everything that we talked about. You found some way to highlight what you were able to move forward with that really brought to light something really different, right? Because some people can sit back and go, "Oh, woe is me. This happened to me." But your realism in terms of talking about, what that experience was like for you in your church, what it's like for you when you're driving while Black, what it's like for you when you think about the 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Um, your realism to talk about that as a student is really powerful. Your narrative is well received. And I really appreciate that you took the time out of your day to day to kind of share with us your experiences with Black history. And, I can tell that you're really well schooled in that. And so, and that's one of the things that we can't take for granted, right? That our youth who don't know anything. Within this hour, you shared that you know a lot. And I really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. And then lastly, definitely proud of my ancestors, even though they've been through so much. I remember one time we were doing the what do you call it? It was like a family tree in class, and I was like, the final step when you got all the way back to it was that your ancestor was a slave. And my parents was like, I don't know why I was happy at the time. I was like, I'm proud. I'm proud of my ancestors. They're very resilient. They built this country, so it's something to be proud of. That it's nothing to be sad about when you think of your ancestors.
Well, there you go. You stand on their shoulders.
Exactly.
You stand on their shoulders. Well, Rodney, thanks. I'm sitting here looking at you in amazement, and I can't tell you how proud I am of you. I can't wait to see you again back on campus. It's been a little bit too long,
Definitely.
but I hope South Carolina is treating you well. How are your classes, by the way? How are things going?
Classes are going good. I have one Zoom class, so but everything's mostly online.
Yeah,
Just making sure that you're keeping track with all the assignments that come up. So I definitely have to navigate that, but
yeah,
everything's going good. And I'd like to thank you for having me on your show. And I look forward
yeah,
to keeping in contact.
definitely that. And so, good luck with the rest of the semester. And we'll kind of take our leave right now. And so, I want to thank everyone for watching us today and being a part of the podcast with us. Please reach out to Rodney. He shared with you that he's willing, especially for you students, to kind of tap into the work that he's doing. He's doing some good things. I'm looking forward to the next Gospel Extravaganza Part Two. So when that comes down the pipe, we're going to be looking forward to that as well. So thank you, Rodney. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I want to thank also our UCF Foundation office who supports us in terms of the work that we're doing with this podcast. And on next week, I'm going to have a good colleague of mine from the University of Connecticut come and speak. He is a history professor. His name is Jeffrey Agbar. Dr. Agbar will come and talk about his work that he does. He does a lot around hip hop and rap culture. And so I'm going to get a chance to talk with him this Black History Month about the work that he's doing. And hopefully that will inspire others to recognize just the beauty and the power that comes from the Black community. I know that we're dedicating the month of February towards Black History Month, but this is something that I think can kind of transpire into all 365 days of the year. So thank you all, and we'll see you next time. All right. Thanks, Rodney.
Thank you. Bye.
Good to see you.